everybody, welcome back to Creme de la Cringe. And what? Like, we started recording, I'm like, wait a minute, we already did this case. And you go, no? No?
No, I'm like, I don't think we did.
What's happening to my head?
It has been a week. It's been a week.
Yeah, it's like 2026 was supposed to slow down and be fun, and it's not so far.
No.
I think 2025 is lingering still. But anyway, we have the case of the smoking corpse tonight, guys. So this took place September 12th, 1868. And there was a farm boy named Robert Bowman, and he was herding some of his father's cows early one morning on the beach of the White River, which was 3 miles. It's 3 miles from Indianapolis. He saw in the distance a man and a woman on the beach who appeared to be talking. The man was laying on it with his hands laid behind his head. And from a distance, Robert thought the man was like head back, looking at the sky.
Just chilling.
Just chilling. The woman was on her right side, her head tucked under her arm. Everything looked chill. From his position, everything looked chill, like a couple just enjoying the afternoon, right? But he saw a little stream of smoke, and he thought, okay, no big deal. They're having a picnic. Maybe they lit a fire and whatever. And then he thought maybe the woman had been smoking a pipe, because back then in this age, in this period of time, 1868, women had taken to smoking pipes. It was pretty common. So I was like, no big deal. So he went on his way, and he's herding cattle away from the people to not bother them. And he kind of forgot about the couple. And this area was known as Cold Spring. It was a grassy area along the river with a really white sandy beach. It was really pretty and very popular with picnic spot. And it was kind of known as the makeout place. So,
Every town's got one.
Yeah.
Lookout point or whatever it is.
Whatever it is. So later, as the heat of the day began to bother Robert, he's like, you know what? I'm going to go down to the spring and swim in the river. I'm going to go down there to the beach and swim. And that's when he saw the couple again, but they looked entirely different this time. So they're kind of in the same repose. The guy had his hands behind his head, and she's still on her right side, but they're dead and they're soaked in their blood. Yeah. The fire's still smoldering, and it had consumed the front of the woman's skirt and underclothing and most of her body from her chin to her knees. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Ew. Wouldn't it smell, though? Like
it would, girl.
Yeah.
So he said the man was there with his hands behind his head. His legs were crossed. He appeared to be relaxed, except the top of his head was missing. That's different.
They scalped him?
Well, no, like the top, like forehead up, gone. Okay.
So yeah, like they scalped him back in the days when the natives.
Well, yeah, there was more than that though.
Oh, ew.
So yeah, so he went screaming out of there and went and got police, because that's what you do, right? And police investigators came to the scene, and they found that the top of his head was blown off. His hat was in a tree some 20 feet away in the willow branches, and a double-barreled shotgun lay near the river. So, yeah.
Did they find part of his head in the hat?
I'm
like, I have to ask.
I don't. Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't think they.
You're like.
I'm like, did they? I don't know. Anyway, okay. So they identified the couple as Jacob Young and his wife Nancy Young. Jacob worked for a farm implement company, and he had recently invested in a mill, and the mill was under construction. He put kind of a lot of money into this mill, and Nancy, his wife, she was, they're a young couple. She had fair complexion, light auburn hair, and police described her as being small and delicate and, a very pretty young lady. Well, she was. The investigation had shown that Jacob had been shot by the shotgun, but his wife had been killed by a single bullet. Interesting. Because usually that doesn't happen, right?
No.
Yeah. They believed that the couple had probably been killed about 16 hours before discovery of them dead.
That's a long time.
I know. So nobody was down there, or maybe everybody thought, like Robert did the first time, that they were just a couple enjoying the city, right?
Yeah.
So no pistol was recovered at the site, which led police to rule out like a murder-suicide. That's what they were thinking. But that's not what happened, because they thought, okay.
Because where would the pistol be?
Well, who would kill who first, though? I mean, because
Yeah.
the shotgun. I mean, it's not super easy. You could, but not super easy in that pose to do that.
No.
Right.
I mean, and especially to, no.
So the police noted clear footprints in the sand at the base of the tree where Robert's top coat was found. And the footprints, though, were that of a woman. They were very small footprints. And so they're like, okay, we think that's a woman. And there's so they're like, okay, now what's going on? They're trying to investigate this. From the angle of the shot, police believe somebody hid in the alder trees about 20 foot from the couple. Mrs. Young appeared to have been shot at close range, as there was the flash. It was a flash burn that ignited her dress.
Oh, snap.
Like the ruffles around her neck.
Yeah.
So it ignited, it was that close that it ignited the fabric, and then it sat there and smoldered all day until it really caught, and then started burning her, unfortunately. And that's the small smoldering smoke that Robert saw when he was herding the cows. So as they followed the woman's tracks around the tree, those tracks, it led them to a road where they surmised she got into a coach and drove off. But they noted horseshoe imprints that were unique, which I thought, oh, very good for you guys, right? Because how many? Yeah, very good. So they noted the shoe imprints and observed that one of the shoes was fabricated differently than the other. And and I know that from having horses, you typically, if you have more of a club foot on one foot of a horse, or if you have an injury, sometimes you have to have a different shoe made, right, for the horse's hoof. So they figured, okay, there's probably a difference in the gait of the horse as well. So that is something that they could look for. And that the shoe obviously is different. The imprint of the shoe is going to be different than the other three. So they found out into the countryside, and they started looking for horses with one therapeutic shoe. They looked also into stores that sold horseshoes, and they also, it's not horseshoes, some of them were fabricated back then, and then they also looked into shoes or stores that sold sole treads of the tread that the woman that was standing in the trees left. Apparently it was a unique tread. They also talked to places where pistol and shotguns may have been recently purchased, because they're like, this is such a unique crime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So as the investigation continued, 2 young children said that they had seen a man and a woman identified as the Youngs, and another single woman walking upstream on the riverbank. Police interviewed a neighbor. Her name was Mary Bell, and that's Jacob's niece. And she said she saw the Youngs leave their house at dinner, riding in the buggy alone. So without the third woman, the second woman, the third person. And the neighbor did not inquire as to where they're going. It's not her business. She just saw them leaving, nor did they volunteer any information. She did tell the police that she saw a few dollar bills sticking from her uncle's coat pocket. Kind of random, but okay.
That is, yeah.
Yeah. Police spoke to the local banker, who said that Jacob was frequently at the bank exchanging small bills for large ones. there was a rumor that Jacob was involved in counterfeiting bills. Yeah. Now, one of the things that I just happened to learn from doing our Mugshot Monday series that we're doing every Monday is that in the 1800s, every bank had its own currency. So counterfeiting was huge. That's why the Treasury Service came to be back in the day of Bugsy Malone and all those guys.
That's
right?
crazy.
Yeah, because every bank had their own currency, so you could counterfeit really easily. And then go, if you were starting to get, if that heat was on you, you just moved to another location, counterfeit their bills because they're different. So counterfeiting was huge. And there was really very little mechanism to stop it, not like what we'd have now.
Yeah, because I mean, now you have the pins that automatically.
Yep. And, you know, our bills are made out of fabric. And back then, a lot of bills were made out of paper. So counterfeiting was pretty easy. Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. But there was all of these rumors that Jacob was involved in counterfeiting bills, but there was never any evidence to support this. And police wondered if the robbery could have been a motive for the murder, particularly since his niece saw some dollar bills hanging out of his pocket when he was driving by the coach. They thought, well, that's really weird, you know. And when they went back, this coat pocket was hanging, his coat was hanging in some trees. So he'd taken his coat off and hung it up so it wouldn't get dirty. And the cops had gone to the crime scene and they looked at his coat pockets and they were empty. So cash was gone. But he didn't know how much cash was in there or if he'd made a stop in between. You know, they don't know. There's no cash. So they began investigating his finances and they noticed that 3 people were involved with the Youngs on a reoccurring basis in the weeks prior to the murder. They were William Abrams, Dr. Duzin, and Nancy Clem, the wife of a local grocer. Mrs. Clem was known to have borrowed a lot of money and not paid it back. So for 4 years, her creditors are hounding her for money, and she just didn't have it to pay back. William Abrams had known the Youngs for several years. So he had known them since he was in the Union Army. When he got out of the Army, Jacob, who was murdered, was dead broke and became kind of a loan shark, and he amassed quite a lot of money from that. And William and Dr. Duzin was known to loan thousands of dollars of people. So, Jacob and Dr. Duzin they would loan a lot of money to a lot of people, and they're loan sharks. So they were getting their money back one way or the other, guys. So, and so it was kind of like a shell game. So William got caught up in all of this too. And it was a shell game. So they would give like thousands of dollars withdrawn from one account, and then it would appear in another account at a different bank on the following day. And there was just a shell game of money. So you're basically paying off a loan, but then taking out a loan, and then going over here and paying off a loan, but then taking out a loan. It was just this constant shell game of money between all of these people. It was really shady.
And back then, I mean, it's not like it is today. You could get away with it.
Yeah. You could just go to town and start over again, and none's the wiser, right? So, so the investigators were having a hell of a time trying to figure this out, because the more they looked into it, the more like spaghetti noodles were here and there trying to follow. And they're like, well, who had motive? Well, it seems like a lot of people had motive. So they were perplexed. They didn't know what's going on. And the same thing had been happening to the Youngs account. So money would come out and money would come in, the same amount. Money would go out, same money would come in the next day. And they couldn't figure it out. It appeared that Jacob, William, Dr. Duzin, and Mrs. Clem were intertwined in some kind of loaning and repayment scheme, and trying to make money on interest as fast as they could, like amassing money, which, okay, I mean, there's nothing illegal with that, right?
No.
Seem like, but they kept noticing as they were like drawing out all of the people that Nancy Clem was in the center of every ring, like every scheme. And the more the list grew, the more she appeared at the center of all of this stuff. And they're like, mm-hmm. So at the time of the murders, Jacob owed over $43,000 to a variety of different banks. Okay. Because he's loaning money out, so he has to borrow it to loan it.
Yep.
Police believe that this ring was actually using each other to build like a line of credit. Okay. So that they could keep getting more and more money.
That would make sense.
Yes. As this credit was being built, the line of credit was getting bigger, the loans were getting larger, and that they were probably going to skip town at some point with a huge amount of cash. Like one day just go in and ask for all of the line of credit and then boop, gone.
Yep.
Yeah. So they started focusing on Mrs. Clem and Abrams, and they began surveying them. Abrams had purchased the shotgun the morning of the murders, and a local pawnbroker deemed as the purchaser. In another shop, Abrams had been identified as the person looking at pistols the day before. So so they put that together. Then they were both brought in for questioning. Abrams refused to talk and gave the police no information. And they said Clem wouldn't talk either. Like she went completely stone cold silent. So they're like, okay, now what? So then they started focusing on the shoe. And I thought, okay, maybe we can tie Mrs. Clem to the shoe print. So they go around to all of the local shoemakers, and they found one that said he sold Mrs. Clem a pair of gaiters. Now, gaiters go over your shoes, but there are some gaiters that have, back in the day, they had like a sole, and then they come over your socks. Like, remember spats? I mean, there's different kinds of gaiters. There was spats under the shoe. There was all kinds of different stuff. So these gaiters had like a leather on them to protect the shoe. And they sold Mrs. Clem a pair of those gaiters. And when they looked at the prints, and then they went back to the crime scene because, they're not taking photographs back in the day.
No.
They're matching it. It's a complete match. So they never located those new gaiters. And Mrs. Clem never admitted to owning them. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Meanwhile, the police were examining the shoes of every horse in the city and the countryside. They're not giving up on this. They're like, we're going to find this horse. They finally found a blacksmith shop where Thomas Mansfield said he removed the shoes from a horse that had been rented the day of the murders. Okay. The man who rented the horse was Silas Hartman, the brother of Mrs. Clem. He gave the removed shoes to the police because farriers don't throw away those shoes. If they can reuse them somehow, they're going to put them on again. Okay. And they made a plaster cast of shoe imprints, nicely done for 1868. The shoe fit the cast perfectly, the impression. So now they have the horse, they know the tie. At this point, the police began investigating Silas as well. And he was unemployed, said he knew Abrams casually. He denied any knowledge of the murders. Several people saw Silas with the rented horse and buggy driving through town the morning of the murder. Later that day, Silas and the buggy were seen again. This time the horse was lathered and soaked in sweat, so he'd been running hard. Okay, at this point, they're done. The police is like, we've wrapped this up. They charged all three with murder, Abrams, Clem, and Hartman. They believe Abrams gave the weapons to Silas Hartman and that he laid in wait in the trees while Nancy lured the couple on a walk by the river. They believe that Mrs. Young was shot first when Jacob's back was turned, and then when he spun around at the sound, he was hit in the head with a shotgun blast. On October 10th, 1868, all three were indicted by a grand jury. They were arraigned 13 days later. On December 1st, Mrs. Clem went on trial. They had 3 separate trials. The state called 130 witnesses.
Holy, for back then?
I know. So So the jury was hung and could not come up with a verdict at that point. So Clem was tried again, and on March 1st, 1869, she was convicted of second-degree murder and given a life sentence. On March 9th, Hartman confessed. Who's Hartman? Oh, William. He confessed his part in the crime. He claimed he hired a Mrs. Frankie Clark, a madam at a local house of ill repute, to drive with him and the Youngs to Cold Spring. And that his sister, Hartman, though, I thought his name was Silas. Oh, Silas Hartman. Sorry. It has been a long day. All four of them went to the river because he's like, oh, let's go for a ride by the river. It'll be so nice. And the Young said, okay. And that his sister was lying in wait. Okay. And then so that's what they thought. He said after the murders, he drove the madam, Mrs. Frankie Clark, a madam, back to town and was saddened that Mrs. Young, and it was such an innocent young woman, had been murdered. He just couldn't believe it. He said, his sister, yeah. He goes, but my sister had nothing to do with it. He said Abrams gave him the weapons and that a hardware man named Dorsey was implicated as well. But police didn't believe this version of events. They never questioned Dorsey or Mrs. Clark. They don't believe any of that.
Yeah.
After Silas confessed the lie, that night he ended up taking his own life. He was found laying on a mattress, and he used a razor. Yeah. So, Nancy.
Ow.
I know. Nancy appealed her conviction and won a new trial in November 1870, and she got a change of venue from Indianapolis to Lebanon, Indiana. This time, the third trial was hung with no verdict. During the third trial for Clem's, Abrams went to trial. So now it's his first trial. She's on her second trial. He was convicted of the murder and received 10 years. Clem was tried a fourth time. The state's not giving up. And this time she was convicted again of murder. She appealed again and won the appeal again. Can you believe it? I'm like, what? She walked free. And the state didn't have the money to go after a fifth trial. They're like, we're done. We can't. Motive was never clear, but Young was known to have all of this money. There was all of these schemes going on, and they believe Jacob had been buying bonds, which could have been killed for their value. They really don't know, but 4 times this woman was tried. 4 times. And then
she must have been like really beautiful.
That's what, yeah.
Like in combat those, pretty little eyes, and not me. I would never do something like that.
When she walked free, she touted herself as a female physician and sold different tonics. It's reported that a Civil War veteran drank one of the tonics and died directly after ingesting it. And so she was like, she was evil. And then she ended up dying in her bed in 1897. So
what? I really hope she lived more lives than her karma come back and got her.
She was a cat. She just kept coming back.
Yeah, that's true. I really have to say, I had to kind of stop myself from laughing when they talked about the madame in the house of ill
repute. Yes. I just love the way
must be on it.
Said stuff. Yeah. So there you go.
It's great.
Case of the smoking corpse. Yeah. I feel bad for that young couple. And it seems like his wife was probably the innocent victim in all of this stuff. He was up to nefarious things, but I doubt she was.
That's usually how it goes.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed the case of the smoking corpse, and we'll be back next week.
Bye, guys.